In the heart of East Africa, Uganda's political landscape has been profoundly shaped by one man's relentless quest for democracy. Dr. Kizza Besigye, the unyielding voice of Uganda's opposition. Born in 1956 in the small village of Rukungiri in southwestern Uganda, Dr. Kizza Besigye's early life was shaped by the rich cultural heritage and the socio-political landscape of his homeland. Growing up in a rural setting, he was exposed to the challenges and the beauty of Ugandan village life. His parents, both educators, instilled in him the values of hard work, education, and community service. These early influences would play a crucial role in shaping his future endeavors. Dr. Kizza Besigye began his journey as a physician. After completing his primary and secondary education in Uganda, he pursued a degree in human medicine at Makerere University, one of the most prestigious institutions in East Africa. His dedication to the medical field was evident from the start, and he quickly became known for his commitment to providing healthcare to underserved communities. In the 1970s, Uganda was undergoing significant political and social changes, and the healthcare system was struggling to meet the needs of its people. Dr. Besigye's work in various medical clinics and hospitals across the country provided him with first-hand experience of the healthcare challenges faced by ordinary Ugandans. His trajectory shifted dramatically when he served as the personal doctor to Yoweri Museveni during the 1980s Civil War. The Civil War, which lasted from 1981 to 1986, was a tumultuous period in Uganda's history. It was during this time that Dr. Besigye's medical expertise and dedication to the cause caught the attention of Museveni, the leader of the National Resistance Army, NRA. As Museveni's personal physician, Dr. Besigye was not only responsible for his health, but also became deeply involved in the political and military strategies of the NRA. This close association with Museveni provided him with a unique perspective on the inner workings of the resistance movement and the complexities of the Ugandan political landscape. This alliance, once rooted in shared ideals, transformed into a formidable political rivalry. After the NRA's victory and Museveni's rise to power in 1986, Dr. Besigye was appointed as the Minister of State for Internal Affairs and later as the National Political Commissar. However, as the years went by, ideological differences began to emerge between the two men. Dr. Besigye became increasingly critical of Museveni's leadership style and the direction in which the country was heading. He accused Museveni of abandoning the principles of democracy and good governance that they had fought for during the Civil War. This growing discontent led to Dr. Besigye's decision to leave the government and become an outspoken opposition leader. His political activism and relentless pursuit of democratic reforms have made him a prominent figure in Ugandan politics, often at great personal risk. Despite facing numerous arrests, harassment and intimidation, Dr. Besigye has remained steadfast in his commitment to advocating for the rights and freedoms of the Ugandan people. His journey from a village in Rukungiri to becoming a key player in Uganda's political arena is a testament to his resilience, courage, and unwavering dedication to his country. Transitioning from medicine to politics, Besigye became a beacon of opposition, challenging Museveni in multiple presidential elections. Each campaign was fraught with allegations of electoral fraud and subsequent detentions, underscoring the perilous path of descent in Uganda. A pivotal moment occurred in November 2024. While attending a book launch in Nairobi, Kenya, Besigye was reportedly abducted and clandestinely transferred to a military facility in Kampala. This incident ignited a firestorm of international condemnation. Facing charges in a military tribunal for alleged possession of illegal firearms, Besigye found himself in a situation that was both dire and complex. The courtroom was filled with tension as the proceedings began, with many questioning the fairness and transparency of the trial. The military tribunal, known for its stringent procedures and harsh penalties, was not the place where Besigye, a civilian, expected to find himself. The charges against him were severe, and the atmosphere in the courtroom was charged with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The prosecution presented its case with a barrage of evidence aiming to paint Besigye as a significant threat to national security. The defense, on the other hand, argued vehemently against these accusations, highlighting the lack of concrete evidence and the political motivations behind the trial. The media coverage of the trial was extensive, with journalists from around the world reporting on the developments. The international community watched closely, with human rights organizations expressing concern over the potential for a miscarriage of justice. And conspiring against national security, Besigye contested the court's legitimacy, emphasizing his civilian status. He argued that as a civilian he should not be tried in a military court, which he claimed was biased and lacked the necessary impartiality to deliver a fair verdict. His defense team echoed these sentiments, filing motions to have the case moved to a civilian court. Despite these efforts, the tribunal proceeded, and Besigye's supporters organized protests outside the courtroom, demanding justice and fair treatment. The protests grew in size and intensity, with demonstrators holding signs and chanting slogans in support of Besigye. The situation became increasingly volatile, with clashes between protesters and security forces becoming a common occurrence. Inside the courtroom, Besigye remained resolute, addressing the court with a calm, yet firm demeanor. He spoke passionately about his innocence and the political nature of the charges against him. His words resonated with many, further fueling the protests and drawing more attention to his plight. The trial continued amidst this backdrop of unrest, with each day bringing new developments and heightened emotions. In February 2025, he initiated a hunger strike, protesting his prolonged detention and the conditions therein. The decision to go on a hunger strike was not made lightly. It was a desperate measure to draw attention to his situation and the injustices he believed he was facing. Besigye's health began to deteriorate as the days passed, with supporters and human rights organizations expressing grave concern for his well-being. The hunger strike garnered significant media attention, both locally and internationally, putting pressure on the authorities to address his demands. News outlets covered the story extensively, with images of Besigye's frail condition circulating widely. The public response was overwhelming, with many people expressing solidarity with Besigye and calling for his immediate release. The hunger strike also sparked a broader conversation about the conditions of detention facilities and the treatment of political prisoners in the country. As the strike continued, negotiations between Besigye's legal team and the authorities intensified, with various proposals being put forward to resolve the situation. Despite the physical toll it took on him, Besigye remained steadfast in his resolve, determined to see his protest through to the end. His actions inspired others to speak out against injustice and to stand up for their rights, making his hunger strike a powerful symbol of resistance and resilience. On January 31, 2025, Uganda's Supreme Court declared the trial of civilians in military courts unconstitutional. This decision was a significant moment in the country's legal history, as it addressed a long-standing issue that had been a point of contention for many years. The ruling was seen as a victory for human rights advocates who had tirelessly campaigned against the practice, arguing that it violated the fundamental rights of civilians to a fair trial. The Supreme Court's decision was based on the principle that military courts are not equipped to handle civilian cases, which require a different set of legal standards and protections. The ruling mandated an immediate cessation of such proceedings, calling for all ongoing cases to be transferred to civilian courts where due process could be ensured. The court's decision was met with widespread approval from various human rights organizations and legal experts, who hailed it as a step towards strengthening the rule of law in Uganda. They argued that the use of military courts to try civilians had often led to miscarriages of justice, with defendants being denied access to proper legal representation and subjected to unfair trials. The ruling was also seen as a reaffirmation of the independence of the judiciary, which had come under scrutiny in recent years due to perceived interference from the executive branch. By standing up to the military establishment, the Supreme Court sent a clear message that it would not tolerate any encroachments on its authority or the rights of Ugandan citizens. Despite this landmark ruling, military authorities persisted, exacerbating tensions and drawing global scrutiny. Reports emerged of continued arrests and trials of civilians in military courts, in direct defiance of the Supreme Court's order. This blatant disregard for the rule of law sparked outrage both domestically and internationally, with many calling for immediate action to hold the military accountable. Protests erupted across Uganda, with citizens demanding that the government enforce the court's decision and end the unlawful practice. International human rights organizations also weighed in, urging the Ugandan government to respect the judicial authority and protect the rights of its citizens. The situation highlighted the ongoing struggle for justice and accountability in Uganda, as well as the challenges faced by the judiciary in asserting its independence in the face of powerful military interests. The continued defiance by the military not only undermined the rule of law, but also threatened to destabilize the country as tensions between the government and the judiciary reached a boiling point. The international community watched closely, with many expressing concern over the potential for further human rights abuses and calling for urgent reforms to ensure that the rule of law is upheld in Uganda. The international community responded with unified concern. Amnesty International and the Commonwealth Secretariat, among others, called for Besigye's immediate release, emphasizing the erosion of democratic principles and human rights in Uganda. As of February 2025, Dr. Kizza Besigye remains incarcerated, embodying the enduring struggle for democratic reform in Uganda. His unwavering commitment continues to inspire both national and international advocates for justice. If this narrative resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth documentaries. In Dr. Besigye's words, the pursuit of freedom is a journey, not a destination. His story serves as a testament to the enduring fight for democracy.